I'll get the next one. Hey, get it figured out. Get it figured out. Hey, quit throwing the ball so hard.
How low are you going to get in the frame? What's the bottom of the frame? Oh, okay.
Could you tell us just a little bit about what you've been doing today, just so we can check this out?
Okay, just having a good time, getting together as family, playing games and volleyball and talking and just eating home cooked food. Have a good time. Okay. Okay.
So, just wanted to count, have a count for.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, just for a couple of seconds.
Just say my name, Hollie Saunders from Lancaster. Is that better? Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, what we'll do now is called tagging the tape.
Okay.
I'll introduce myself, today's date,
Okay.
where we're located at,
Okay.
and I'll have you say your name
Okay.
and spell your name.
Okay. Okay.
My name is Erica Allen. Today's date is August the 12th. I am interviewing Hollie Saunders, and we are here at Utica Hall in Lancaster, Ohio. And this is for the African American Presence in the Ohio River Valley Oral History Project. Hollie, would you say your name and spell
Okay.
it for me?
Hey, my name is Hollie Saunders. Hollie is Hollie. And Saunders is Saunders.
What is your date of birth and were you born here in Lancaster?
My date of birth is January 7th, 1954, and I was born and raised here in Lancaster.
And so today we are here for the family reunion. What is the purpose and the importance?
Okay. This is a Hooper Hawkins family reunion. We just try to get together every year just to reacquaint ourselves as cousins. We don't see each other only once a year, so we feel it's important to get together and tell the stories and let the younger ones know who they are, who their family is. And we have several birthdays in August, so we celebrate the birthdays. Especially my dad, he's the oldest member of the family. So his birthday is August the 30th, and he's 31st, I'm sorry, 80 years old. So just passing down, the baton, through the family. So.
And so what is your part in organizing all of this?
Okay, in the reunion, it was mostly my family, immediate family that has been organizing the reunion. I help out my brother with any mailings, organizing the games, food, just anything that has to be done, to get people here, helping them find housing, while they're here. So it's just make sure everybody has a good time as possible.
So you said that one of the purposes is to let the young people know who they are and where they come from. So you're bringing everybody back to Lancaster.
Yes.
What have been your experiences growing up here?
Oh, wow. Growing up here in Lancaster has been interesting, sometimes challenging. Because I was born in '54, so that was the beginning of the official civil rights movement. So there's 9 kids, I'm the 3rd oldest. So there's even been a difference between what I experienced and what my younger brothers and sister experienced. Growing up, it seemed like most of the black families lived in one area. We lived in a mixed neighborhood, so there were black families, white, family, but I'm not sure how to, say it, but even though we knew that we were different, my parents raised us so that color didn't really make a difference. We had our white friends, our white neighbors. We went in and out of each other's homes, staying overnight, running around, never really knowing any differently. We just knew that we were neighbors and good friends. As I got older, I became more aware because in the 60s, the things going on in the 60s. I remember that my 2 older brothers and I and our neighbors would go downtown to Kresge's, and they had people following us through the store, trying to make sure we were not shoplifting. White kids would be stealing because they were watching us. We would go to the food counter. Our white friends could sit down at the counter, but we could not. We had to stand behind the counter. They prefer that we would buy our food and leave, but we couldn't sit down at the counter. Years later, they were allowed the last 3 seats for the blacks. So there's 5 of us, 3 could sit down, 2 had to stand. So that was kind of interesting. I remember a few places where they had white-only signs in the early 60s. I remember I was maybe about 12, going to a restaurant with 2 of my white friends, and they refused to serve me. And so because they did that, my friend said, if you're not good enough to serve her, you're not good enough to serve me. So we left. So there were, that going on. Going into junior high, it got a little bit worse. And I'll never forget when Martin Luther King was assassinated. And that was a really bad day. It happened to be my youngest brother's birthday. And so we were home celebrating his birthday. And it came on the news. And of course we forgot all about, about poor Evan. But all the family started calling Dad, what are we going to do, what's going to happen? They came over and they talked. Dad told us to go to school, keep a low profile, don't do anything. Then they would talk to the principals about letting us out, for the funeral. Went to school the next day, 2 black kids just had a show out. Went to school dressed in black, with black sunglasses, black armband, yelling Black Power down the hall, and a big riot broke out. I remember this one big white kid slammed me up against a locker and said, we killed one nigger, we can kill some more. And I'm like looking for my brother, scared half to death. Big, fighting everywhere. The teachers came out and got all the black kids in the auditorium. They called the police. They had police escort us out, out of the school. And of course we were out of school for a couple of days for things to calm down. And I remember one day during that week, Mom asked me to go down to Kresge's to get her some thread. And there were 2 white ladies standing there, and they were talking about it. And one lady said, well, do you think we'll have problems here like they have in other places? Of course, you know about the riots in other places around the country.
Go get 'em!
And the other lady said, no, because we got good Negroes here. They know their places. They know how to stay there. And it kind of made me mad, But then I thought, no, these are older people. Their way of life is changing, So just incidents like that, It's been positive growing up here because there hasn't been a big population of blacks to experience, a lot of problems, like in bigger cities. you know, but there's been enough that I remember, you know, that I am different, you know, so.
So, in the during your schooling, there were more black students. With some of the interviews that we had today, I think it was Uncle George. He said he was the only black person in his
Yeah,
class, and so
yeah,
maybe that was because of Brown versus Board, or
right. When I went to school, I was the only black female in my class, and there was like 700 in my class, and there were maybe 5 or 6 black guys in my class, and with a few others, you know. So when I was going to high school, there was maybe about 15 black kids out of the whole school. Yeah, so there still wasn't that many. I think they have more black kids going to school now, you know, with my daughter and my nieces than they did when we were going to school. Going to high school, there were not a lot of things that I could do. My brothers played football, you know, sports, but I couldn't do anything, you know, like the band teacher is prejudiced, so I couldn't be in band. I wanted to be in the show choir singing gales. I couldn't be in it because I was black, you know. There's a lot of things. I couldn't even be in my class play, even though they had a black part. The teacher's prejudiced, so, you know, I didn't make the part. So I was limited in a lot of things I could do. You know, Alan, you interviewed him earlier. He made singing gales, but his partner, the parents of his partner would not let them dance together. But he found somebody who would. But by the time my younger sister and brother came along, they had no problems whatsoever. My daughter, she's in band. You know, my niece is in singing gales, so they don't have any problems at all. But it's like I really couldn't do anything because of my skin color.
what about employment here in Lancaster as you come along? What changes have you seen?
Okay. Um, I know that when my younger years trying to get a job, I faced a lot of problems. I've had a lot of jobs where I faced discrimination, and most of the jobs I had, I was the only black in the whole workplace, and that was, you know, difficult. Um, Even back when I was high school, when I was going to high school, we had half-day sessions, okay? So I worked in the morning and got a job in a drafting office in the afternoon. I had no problem at one place, and they were going to send me to drafting school and give me a job after high school. Well, they went on strike, so I had to go up to the main plant, Diamond Power. And we knew that they had problems with blacks, you know, up there. But we were hoping that there would be no problems. But my supervisor was a transplant from the South, you know, very prejudiced. And he created so many problems, you know, for me, you know, that he ended up firing me. Tried to get me, you know, back onto the other place, but, you know, it just didn't happen. Another job I had, my supervisor was constantly reminding me that the only reason I was there because of affirmative action. It didn't matter that I had a degree and experience and everything else. I was the only first black to be hired there. They didn't like it, so they was always trying to find some way to get me out. So changes, it all depends on where you go. You know, it's there in other forms. You know, it's not maybe not as overt as it used to be, but they still find ways, you know, to keep you from getting the job if they don't want you.
I want to talk a little bit about your neighborhood.
Okay.
Growing up, you said that it was a mixed neighborhood.
Yes.
What was your interaction with your neighbors, but also other African Americans or blacks in the area?
Okay. Um, growing up, like, I already said, the neighborhood was mixed. Um, there were, let's see, there was us, as far as blacks, the Saunders, there was the Joneses, there was the Halls, Moxleys, Turners, and the Browns. And then there was maybe about 6 white, families. And I was actually closer to the white kids than I was, with the black kids. Probably because they were all boys. There's only like 2 or 3, girls in the neighborhood, but our gang was mostly my 2 brothers and I and the white kids. And then we started interacting, more with the black kids as we got older. And we were, with the white kids, we were close. I mean, we were like brothers and sisters. We did everything. We took turns staying, at each other's houses. I mean, we were inseparable. And I think that may have changed maybe about 66, 67. And I remember there was a black family moved down the street, McKinley's. They came in from Cincinnati, I believe it was. And of course they were different, and from the big city, and they talk about a lot of things that we never experienced. But it was still okay. We were getting to know them. Well, one summer they brought in a cousin from Cincinnati. It was kind of trouble, so they wanted to send him to the smaller town. He did not even get to the house when he jumped out of the car yelling "Black Power" down the street, and everybody's going, "What is that?" So that was our first introduction, and all that summer he was, spouting his, the about the white people being evil, and what are you doing, being with them, and talking about Black Power. And it just caused a lot of confusion, the neighborhood. And I told Mom, it's kind of like, I kind of know what Adam and Eve felt like when they took the bite of the apple and their eyes were open, to knowledge, whether it was good or bad. That's the way I kind of felt. Nothing was ever the same after that, And our white friends, neighbors started, falling away, moving away, and we were never really close after that. And with the black families, during school, it was cool. We had no problems being with each other. But in the summertime, the black kids turned on us, and we were fighting and playing Selma, Alabama, pulling us out of the backyard, beating us up, and, said riot, throwing stuff out. It was crazy. So I thought, if this is what being around black people's like, I don't want it. So it was crazy. So I'm not sure what it was teaching me at the time. It's like, do I really have to give up my white friends, to be black? Do I really want to hang out with black people? This is, I'm not sure if black people living in a big town that's around blacks all the time understand what it's like being black growing up white. It's almost like I'm more comfortable with white than I am with black, if you can understand what I'm talking about. So it's been interesting.
What do you think, or what most interests you about your family history?
What interests me the most about our family history? Oh gosh, just the diversity, of our family. The way that, my great-grandparents got together, and how we came to be and our place in, in Lancaster society. I'm proud of the fact that it was a lot of my family, extended family, that had a lot of businesses here in Lancaster, to establish the building of Lancaster, and just the different things that they did that people don't know about, and I'm just beginning to find out. as you can look around at the family reunion, you see, every shade and color in the rainbow, so, and the background is so diverse that to me it's not really about, race. I mean, we're proud of every ethnic background there is, but it just shows that, that we're all people, that we all come together for different reasons, and we're to be proud of who and what we are, what we've done and what we accomplished, and just build on that and pass it on so that the kids, while not forgetting where we came from, but to take it further, and to, go further than what we did in life.
You talked a little bit about the occupations and how your family has helped to build Lancaster. Can you tell us how and what types of businesses you all have had over the years?
Um, I know that some of my family, they were the first garbage men, in town. They had their own sanitation. They had produce market. They were podiatrists. They were hairdressers. They were barbers. They were rat catchers, back in the day, when it was important to keep the rats away. Even though they were menial jobs, they were important. They were brick makers, making the brick, to lay on the streets, masonries. Um, my great-grandfather had a massage parlor, he was a masseuse. So there's some professional in there, but, hardworking people. And that's something that, that they've instilled in it. It doesn't matter what you do, just do it well, work hard. So that's something that's been passed down to us too.
I wanted to talk a little bit about churches in the area and the role that religion or spirituality has played in your lives.
Religion has played a very big part, in our lives. Mom and Dad, took us, as babies, to church. Allen Chapel has always been the historic black church here in town. We're coming up on 200 years, of the church going. So that's a big part of our history, of our heritage here in Lancaster. The land was given to us back in the early 1800s when they were laying out Lancaster. And Emmanuel Carpenter gave the blacks a tract of land. It still stands up on High Street, High and Walnut, and to be used for church and school purposes. Now, blacks, back then could not go to school or attend church with whites. So he, saw the importance of having a place for the blacks. So it went through a couple denominations, and the AME conference finally, built the church up there. And it's just been passed down, from generation. It was also the social center for the blacks, because they could not associate with blacks, at clubs, or anything like that. So any activities that blacks went to, it came through the church. So back in the 30s and 40s, during the height, of the black population here in town, and the church was the most active part, there were maybe about 4 or 5 different clubs came out of that. When I was growing up, I remember from being a child up going up there, we would have parties. The adults would have parties for us kids up there, Halloween parties, birthday parties, Christmas parties, whatever. And church was always a big deal, especially Easter and Christmas. Easter we would have sunrise service, breakfast, church, and then Easter egg hunt afterwards. I don't remember not going to church, I don't remember, not, having God a part of my life, because of my parents and our upbringing. The family reunion, tomorrow we're having a church service, that's the big part of it. we want to, make sure that we include God, because without Him, none of this would be possible. You know, um, the AME conference pulled out. Well, we pulled out from the AME conference back in the '60s and went non-denominational. So it's gone through its changes. Congregation has fallen off. It built up, fell away again. But my brother Evan is the pastor of the church, and it's our family that's kind of holding it together and trying to build it back up. Again, but it's still standing, still going. Mhm.
And I think this may be the last section. Anybody know how we're doing on time? So I won't hold you for the whole 25
Okay,
minutes.
am I doing okay? So
Oh,
far?
wonderful. Excellent. Wonderful. I wanted to talk, we haven't talked about music today.
Oh, okay.
And the music that you listen to throughout your lifetime here in
Okay.
Lancaster.
Okay.
Maybe that you remember at some of those high and low points in your life.
Okay.
The
Okay.
role that music has played.
Oh, music. You see how I light up when you say music. Oh, man. Music always been a big part of my life. I remember just being little, sitting at Dad's feet and listening to the big band sound, Benny Goodman and, oh gosh, Count Basie, Ella Fitzgerald, listening to all his, songs with him. And once in a while, Mom and Dad would get up in the living room and dance, or Dad have me dancing on his feet, so, music, I just love it all. Um, Growing up in the 60s, my brothers kind of went in the Motown, well, they like Michael Jackson 5. I like the Osmonds. I just listen to all of it. I kind of appreciate, the Motown sound, more now, but my background still goes back to jazz, Um, Music has been a big part of our life also because it's in our family. Um, Dad's side of the family, oh my gosh, we have a lot of famous musicians in our family. My dad's grandfather had a band here in town, so they played, around the area, different places. I have an aunt who lived in Akron, Aunt Anistine. She sang with Ella Fitzgerald and Lionel Hampton and, all those people. We have, uh, oh gosh, I can just name, a lot of people in our family. Mom's side of the family have singers, so we've always, music is a big part of our family. I play piano, kind of taught myself how to play. And so I would play, have piano that I've had since, Dad got for me for my 10th birthday. And I used to play, and I'd play a song, and then my sister would start singing, and then maybe somebody else in another part of the house would start singing, and then somebody else from another part of the house would start singing. So pretty soon we'd become from all different directions, to buy the piano and start singing, So we sing together as a group, Um, we have my daughter's an instrumentalist. She played all the saxophones. She plays the alto, tenor, bari sax, and contrabass clarinet. So she's about the only instrumentalist so far. But yeah, music is great.
Maybe last question. Music.
Mhm.
If there is a song that pinpoints one of the best times in your life or the lowest times in your life, what song would it be and what time does it hit?
My song that I sing a lot is "Great Is Thy Faithfulness," an old hymn. To me, that's my testimony in life. When I'm happy, I sing it. When I'm, down, I sing it, because it talks about no matter what we have, experience in life, God is always faithful. He's always there, for me. And it's just a big lift, Great is thy faithfulness, O God, my Father, And, His mercies is new every day, And that's what keeps me going, no matter what. That's what keeps me going. So I have to say that is the song. Yeah. Hmm.
Well, thank you so
Yeah.
much. This has been wonderful.
Oh, you're very welcome.
And you're here. You're still here in Lancaster.
Yes.
I'm trying to pronounce it. They said we can
It's
tell who are natives and who are not
it
by the
is.
way you pronounce it.
That's right.
I'm
If you
trying to
said
say
Lancaster,
Yeah.
we know you're not here.
Lancaster.
Yeah. If Lancaster, Lancaster. Lancaster.
Ah, Lancaster.
Yeah.
All right. When I see you again, I'll have it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Holly.
Oh, you're welcome.
I really appreciate you today.
Thank you.
Helping
Thank
us
you.
out. I don't think anybody wanted to speak to us until you got here.